Welcome back to Zion's Redemption Radio Network. I'm your host, Mark Lichten-Walter. I'm also known as Red Pill Mormon on TikTok. So today we're going to be covering the last page in the conclusion of Mysteries of Creation. We're in chapter 20, and this will be page 199. It's just, I think it's a really good conclusion to everything that we've been learning lately. I really enjoy and agree with Ogden when he talks about how this earth, is a place for us to prepare to meet God, to prepare to become like God, and that as we struggle through life, we're being blessed in our struggles. Um, and just from my own perspective, I've gone through a lot in my life, and some of it's still hard for me to deal with, but it helps me to have empathy for others and sympathy as well. Um, and I've learned a lot from my experiences. One of the biggest things about the path my life has taken is that I realized that I couldn't trust other people. Now, I trust my wife. I 100% trust her, but I didn't trust other people, even my grandparents that I love, will always love for what they did for me. I didn't always trust them because rather than seeing me cry and have a almost nervous breakdown every time they were going to send me away to go live with somebody else because they needed a break or whatever it was. And usually the breaks were not short breaks. I'd go away for a couple months. Sometimes it would be up to 6 months. But they wouldn't tell me because they knew that I was going to be upset. So, and it's just like with my mom, she would just one day decide, oh, um, you're going to go live with so and so, or, you're going to go, I'll give you two examples. Okay, so when I was 14, she got me out of school and she told me we're going to go to a hospital so that somebody could talk with me at the hospital. And she had me in therapy and counseling and all kinds of things for years and years and years. And so I was like, okay. So I remember we were driving there and we stopped by this really, really cheap place where you could buy these crappy clothes that whatever, but we were poor. So, I mean, she used to go pick up onions off the road that would spill off the onion trucks and make onion soup. And we'd go down to this place called R.C. Willey's in Syracuse, Utah on Saturdays so we could eat hot dogs, you know, that were free and drink sodas and whatever. So anyway, but we're going to this place and I'm in there talking with her and with this guy and this really nice office in Primary Children's Hospital. And it was like when it was brand new because we used to go to Primary Children's when it was in its other location before the big hospital was built. And just slow down here so these people can pass me before we get into this single lane. Anyway, so we're in this place. I mean, it's really nice, whatever. But so anyway, so we're talking to this guy, and then he says, "Can I just talk with you alone for a while?" And so we did that. My mom left the room. And then she went out one door. Well, I didn't even realize, and I was 14 years old at the time, so this would have been 91, I think, 1991. Anyway, so when we're done, he leads me through a different door. And then, I'm in this, psych ward, basically. That's what it was. And, of course, all of this was paid by the government, so she could just throw me into these places whenever she felt like it. But anyway, so there was this big window, and there was a speaker, and like there was magnetic locks on the doors, which I'd never seen before. But anyway, so she's telling me you're gonna stay here for a while, and like it was just like that all the time growing up. I never knew when I was gonna be in one place or the next. I never knew when they were deciding to, send me off to somewhere, whether that was um, a youth home or like one place that I went to was a drug and alcohol rehab center for teenagers, and like they like just wanted to have me talk with somebody, and then they ended up throwing me against my will into this padded like room with white like padded walls and floors and like no windows, and a door or whatever, like so I would calm down or whatever, because I was upset because like she told me we were going home. Like I was in a youth center before that, and like everywhere I went I was like a model person except for that that rehab center. I ended up breaking out of there, and yeah, that's a different story, a really interesting story. I've told it in the past. Maybe I'll tell it in the future. But anyway, but like I ended up staying in the mental hospital. So it was primary children's, third floor, west wing. So I know there was an east wing on the third floor, and I think there was another. Well, I don't know. We didn't really interact with anyone else. Occasionally, we would. They had like a cultural hall like gym, and we would like play volleyball against the other psych ward. It's just anyway, I get a kick out of it now, and you know what, I actually really did like being there. I was happy there, like I was happy, you know because it wasn't chaos all the time. It was like a stable place to be. I mean, yeah, there were kids that were having some mental issues and stuff, but I liked being there. In fact, when they told me that I was leaving, later on that day, after they told me, I like found something. I broke this piece of plastic into a sharp, jagged piece of plastic and cut my wrists with it, both wrists, And so after they treated me and after whatever, I still went home, So, and then East Davis Mental Health Center, right by North Davis, or I think it was East. Well, it was by Humana Hospital, which is on Antelope Drive off I-15. So there's a place there. Anyway, um, they told my mom, or my mom told me that they told her, or something. I can't remember the exact details right now, but that I was diagnosed as a sociopath and like all these things, and so I'm carrying this weight as a 14-year-old that I'm really screwed up. Yeah, I was depressed. I was traumatized by the stuff I'd been through. I later on was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder because of the stuff I went through, and borderline personality disorder, which is where when you go through extremely abusive situations as a young child or even in utero, your neural pathways do not form in a normal way. They form differently. So I'm hardwired that way because of what happened to me as a child, complete with the PTSD, which I've been able to like really like get past that for the most part. But borderline, it's basically you see everything in black and white. It's either all good or all bad, right? And I know I have that, and I know that's hardwired. So I can kind of mitigate that. But my wife knows, and sometimes I'm getting upset about whatever it is, and she's like, You're doing it. So, but it's also the reason why, um, well, part of the reason why I study so much is because I love God so much, but also I have, when I was at Primary Children's Hospital at the age of 14, my IQ was 147. I've been retested since then. It's 150 now, but so like I can think critically about things, and I like to study, I like to learn, and I love God. And I see everything in black and white. So like if God says do this, then you do this. You know, if he restores if he restores the gospel on the earth and says these are the rules that I've laid out for you to follow, that's the rules that he's laid out for us to follow. That's just how I see things, you know. So but anyway, so one of the things that I need to get to is before I went on my mission, because I had been in a psych ward for 3 months, um, they needed to do an evaluation at the missionary training center in Provo as I was there getting ready to go on my mission in 1997. And they were able to get the records that and all of the documents from Primary Children's Hospital. And I got to read those documents, which I never got to read before. And do you know what it said? It didn't say anything about all of that other stuff, you know, the sociopath stuff or any of the other stuff. It did say that I was reacting to the situation that I was in, and that I didn't have any mental illness that they could see, you know, other than the borderline, which actually was diagnosed a lot later because you cannot diagnose borderline until you're in your, I think, 20s. They can't diagnose a 14-year-old with borderline. So, anyway, and I was later diagnosed with that. So, and I accept that. I've studied a ton about it. I know exactly what it is. I know a lot. I've read a lot of books on it and how to deal with it and all that. So, but anyway, but because of the way I was brought up and the betrayals and the abuse and the neglect and all of the things and the continual moving from home to home, like I think I can't quite remember. I would have to go look in my missionary journals because I actually did remember at that time. But I think I've lived in like, I think I moved over 100 times before I was 18. If that gives you any idea of the stability of my life, which, hey, I'm a truck driver. If that tells you anything, we're the highest paid homeless people in the world because we just drive around and we go visit other places. Like I go and pack a bag to go see my wife and kids and stay at home once a week, but I don't live there. I live in this truck. This is my home right here. I go home where my wife and kids are, you know, and I've got things there that are mine, but I really, I do have a home. I'm not trying to say that, but like, I don't know. Anyway, but so my whole point in saying all of this is that the reason why I love God so much is because he loves me and he showed me his love for me. And the reason why I trust him is because even in homelessness, and I have been homeless, not just in a truck, you know, from 1998 until 2003, I just lived in a truck. I had nowhere to live, you know, and whatever. But like, God has always taken care of me whenever I've been homeless. Yeah, I have suffered a great deal. I've had hypothermia and almost died twice because of hypothermia. I've been shot at many times. Well, 4 times. Well, 4 occasions with many, many, many bullets. Like, holy crap. You know, it had bullets fly past me and whatever. I've been blown up, stabbed, tried to commit suicide more times than I can remember by doing so many different ways of suicide that I can't, you know, like, it's just a lot. And I have the scars to prove some of them. Anyway, but so I've done a lot, and I've experienced a lot, and I've been homeless, and I've almost froze to death because of being homeless, and just miserable existence um, through a lot of my early life. But I value the experiences. Now, I'm not saying I ever want to go through any of that again. Part of the reason why I work so hard is because I never want to have to go through any of that ever again. Part of the reason why I wish I wasn't who I am is because I don't want to go into the wilderness. I would rather die as part of the cleansing than have to go and live out in the wilderness, because I don't want to. I just don't want to. But God's not going to allow me to off myself, and He's not going to take me home before my mission is over. And He's revealed to me what my mission is, so I'm going to be obedient to Him because I love Him. But as I look back upon my life and all the things that I've been through with the mortal logic in mind that I have, knowing what I know spiritually and everything else, and with what Jesus Christ told me as I sat next to Him on a marble bench in the house of the Father upon Mount Vashel, as we talked face to face, all that you have gone through, is what He said, I have allowed to happen for my wise purposes, that you may become the servant that I need you to be. And I accept that. Doesn't mean I understand it all. It doesn't mean I like it all. But I understand that. And I do, because of what God has revealed to me, know that every single experience that we go through in mortality, for every person that's ever lived upon the face of this earth, has the benefit of growth and um, and hopefully obtaining a higher resurrection, unless you commit the unpardonable sin, you know. But all of the experiences that are common to life, um, for the vast majority of the people who have lived on this planet, are of value, a great value. And when we get to that world that is terrestrial, and we learn and the veil is pulled back, we're going to understand that so much more than we do today. You know, and we're going to have 1,000-year break where we're learning and growing and going over our experiences that we've gone through in mortality, learning from them, you know, learning so much. And it's all so valuable, you know, and persecution and whatever, like it turned me to God, because He was the only one that I knew that I could trust, because He did take care of me even in the lowest points of my life. He healed me when I was sick. He took my addictions away from me when I was an addict. You know, when I lived in Florida and didn't have a place to live, He got me a place to live. When I lived in this place with no furniture, He made it possible for me to receive all. I mean, it was nice, you know, and it was because I was an assistant manager at a 55 and older trailer park in Clearwater, Florida, and when people die and they live in wherever they live, you know, their families don't come and pick up all the stuff. So I was able to take antique furniture and all kinds of really nice things home to this place that was only $600 a month for a 3-bedroom. It was ghetto, but it was a place to live, you know. So I know that He takes care of me. I know that He's always taken care of me. When I've had no food and no way to get food, He has provided people that have been inspired just and not ever asking for it, just walk up to me and give me money because they said, God told me I need to give you this. Hadn't eaten in days, you know, and I'm not trying to like look homeless either. You know, I was always clean. I never looked like I was homeless. I never asked for money. I always tried to find jobs or find work, you know. But part of the reason I work so hard all the time is because I don't ever want to be homeless again, and I want to take care of myself and my family. But every single experience that I've been through has been for the wise purpose of our Father and our Redeemer. So anyway, with all that being said, and I'm already 20 minutes into this thing, we're just going to listen to the whole part. So this is page 199, and then I'll give some commentary at the end. So thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone for learning with me, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, follow, comment, all the fun things. And I really appreciate all of you for listening and hopefully finding some edification in the things that I've experienced and the things that I am teaching. And I hope that you go to God and find out if what I'm teaching is true, because you should not trust in the arm of flesh, no matter if that man proclaims to be a prophet or is the leader of a worldwide church or a politician or Gandhi himself. You don't trust in the flesh, you go to God. Jesus always pointed people to the Father. Why do you call me good? There is none good but one, and that is God. He was always pointing to the Father, and I'm doing the same as his witness. And I say that in the name of our Messiah, Yeshua HaMashiach, even Jesus the Christ. Amen. So, all right, so let's get into this. Let's get into this reading. Thank you for listening to me, and here we go.
Part 6 of Conclusion, Chapter 20 of Mysteries of Creation by Ogden, Kraut, page 199. Absolutely, let's wrap up with Part 6 of the Conclusion and bring it all together. Part 6, Conclusion, page 199. Final Doctrinal Summary and Ultimate Vision. 1. The necessity of contrast for exaltation. Kraut concludes with the idea that glory and exaltation are only meaningful because we first experience their opposites. In other words, we understand light because we have known darkness. We achieve exaltation because we have first passed through a moral world of trials. He envisions a joyful reunion with the Father and with loved ones who have passed on, describing it as an embrace and a homecoming. Only when we are purified and prepared can we endure the glory of eternity and dwell among exalted beings. 2. The earth as a proving ground. Kraut reiterates that the creation of the world is more than just an architectural feat, it's a proving ground for humankind. All the difficulties of mortal life, cold, hunger, pain, and sorrow, are part of the process that allows humans, as embryos of gods, to grow and progress. He emphasizes that the potential destiny of man is far beyond our current comprehension, and that through faith and learning line upon line, we will come to see this world as a marvelous work and a wonder. 3. Exaltation and the creation of new earths. Finally, Kraut closes with a vision of the righteous who achieve godhood. Those who become gods will have the power and responsibility to create their own earths, continuing the cycle of creation and exaltation. In this way, he frames mortal life and the plan of salvation as part of a much larger, eternal pattern. Bottom line of Part 6. Page 199 wraps up the conclusion by emphasizing that contrast and trial are necessary for exaltation, describing the ultimate reunion with the Father and loved ones as a joyous homecoming for the purified and exalted, reinforcing the idea that the earth is a proving ground for divine growth. concluding that exalted beings will go on to create their own worlds, thus extending the cycle of creation. Page 199. We could not have the glory and the light without first knowing the contrast. Do you comprehend that we could have no exaltation without first learning by contrast? When you are prepared to see our Father, you will see a being with whom you have long been acquainted, and he will receive you into his arms, and you will be ready to fall into his embrace and kiss him, as you would your fathers and friends that have been dead for a score of years. You will be so glad and joyful. Would you not rejoice? When you are qualified and purified, so that you can endure the glory of eternity, so that you can see your Father, and your friends who have gone behind the veil, you will fall upon their necks and kiss them, as we do an earthly friend that has been long absent from us, and that we have been anxiously desiring to see. This is the people that are and will be permitted to enjoy the society of those happy and exalted beings. Journal of Discourses Volume 4 page 55. The creation of this world is more than an architectural masterpiece. It was designed as a proving ground for man. With all the attendant cold, hunger, pain and misery, it is a natural setting for the growth and experience of man, who is an embryo of gods. The potential destiny of man is beyond his own present comprehension. By faith and trust, by learning line upon line and precept upon precept, man will eventually acknowledge that this little piece of God's workmanship is truly a marvelous work and a wonder. And, though it is so dark, so fallen and so wicked, it will be exalted to one of the highest places among the creations of God. And those righteous men who become gods will then have the power and responsibility of creating their own earths. Part 6. Part 6 of...
Yeah, I don't really have anything more to say. I think that it's been well spoken. So I'm just going to leave it at that. This is the conclusion of Mysteries of Creation. When I come back on Sunday, we'll do a full reading of the preview in chapter 1. And then I'll try to split all of the chapters up into a week by week. 1 day full reading and 5 day summary, parts of each chapter. And yeah, it's a great book. I love it. It's one of my favorites. The other two that if you go to the description in the YouTube video, you can find a list of the books that are free to read online that talk about early Restoration Theology. One of my other favorite books is Rebaptism, which I'll probably get to eventually again. I've read it several times. I've been doing this teaching thing since, on my own since January of 2014. I've put out hundreds and hundreds, if not actually thousands, of long format podcasts over the years, that have gotten hacked because of whatever. People get mad and whatever. But anyway, yeah, so one of the other books that I was going to say was Ogden Kraut's first book, and that is Jesus Was Married. So anyway, like I've said before, Zion's Redemption Radio Network goes live at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on YouTube with premiere each day at 6 p.m. with a live chat. You can also find some of these videos on Rumble. Both YouTube and Rumble are Zion's Redemption Radio Network. And then on TikTok, you can always find everything I do there first. You can't find all the videos, though. But everything I'm doing from here on out, it goes through TikTok first. So, and on TikTok, I'm Red Pill Mormon. So I always take Friday night to Sunday morning off. And that's my day of rest. Saturday's my day of rest. And each and every single other day. Even if I am off for some reason, I am going to try to put out a video every single day at 6 p.m. And I also put out other videos, other videos of articles I've written, um, things I want to share. And there's so much. I wish I could share everything I listen to. So one of the cool things about being a truck driver these days is I'm a subscriber of YouTube Premium, which used to be called YouTube Red. And I started that, I like got on that service like, it wasn't right at the very beginning, but it was like within a couple of months of them starting that, because I've always enjoyed YouTube videos, just listening to them and stuff. But as a member of YouTube Premium, I can upload videos to my phone and make playlists and downloads and all kinds of stuff. And I can listen to it while I'm driving. And like it can play in the background, so I don't have to get in trouble for having videos playing in my truck while I'm driving down the road, I can just have it on any screen, any app pretty much, except for like the camera app or something. But I can listen to stuff while I'm driving, and I listen to so much. I can't remember what the exact number is, but they gave me the statistics for this year, and it's like 20,000, 27,000 or something like that videos that I've watched this year. Of course, my kids watch videos and stuff on my YouTube as well, so I don't think that's all me, um, but I love it. I love listening to debates, theological debates, political debates. I love listening to historical accounts. I love listening to, stuff about the law, stuff about semi trucks, stuff about like all kinds of different subjects. I just love listening to stuff, and I'm thinking, and like if I just focus on just theology all the time, I'd get burnt out. So I listen to a lot of different stuff. Some of my my pleasure in listening to some of the crazy theories that some people have about fallen angels being like celebrities in Hollywood and political people. Like that's my thing right now. I like listening to Fittest Flat Earther. I think he's awesome. And like I think that he makes a good point on a lot of things. I'm not sold on the flat Earth idea at all, but I don't believe that we live in a firmament the way that he believes we live in a firmament. But maybe we do. But what does that have to do with anything? I don't know. Anyway, I'm like pretty much I'm focused on Zion's redemption, but I also like to learn a lot of other things. So anyway, um, I don't know. All right. Well, I'll be back on Sunday, so this is going to go live if I can get it uploaded in time. I'm headed up to Hiram today. I'm currently going through Provo on I-15. Mile marker 266 at 4:40 p.m. and I don't have to be up there till 7:30, but I'll get there early. I'm pulling a set of doubles, which means I'm 122,800 and something pounds, I think. So that's always fun, especially in Salt Lake traffic. Anyway, it's not as bad as Vegas or Los Angeles, so I guess I could be happy about that. So, or New York. Oh my gosh. Well, heck, Chicago's bad. Atlanta's bad. I've been to every major city and town in the United States of America, with the exception of maybe a few, but I don't think so. I think when I went to Tampa back in 2011, that was the last major city or town that I hadn't been to. So, all right, well, you know what? I'm going to let it go, and we'll let this play out. And thank you for listening. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notifications so you get all of the videos. If you decide to come on and join the live chat, I will most likely be there. I do watch it. And I can reply with my headset, so it's not a big deal. So anyway, Thank you everyone for watching. Take care and have a blessed Shabbat. Shalom. Bye.